In possibly one of the greatest exhibitions of gaslighting that I've ever witnessed personally, not one, but two jokers were before Ireland's media today in the shape and form of Justice Minister Jim O'Callaghan and Garda Commissioner Drew Harris, who's almost at the end of his tenure. They were speaking at the passing out of 154 new Gardaí as a result of 2 years' worth of recruitment driving coming out of Templemore today, and on the back of a vicious assault in Temple Bar 2 days ago on an English tourist that has left the man critically ill, needing emergency surgery. Jim O'Callaghan, this guy right here, the Irish Justice Minister, said, and I quote, "Dublin is getting safer. Dublin is getting safer." And he would have no problem walking around any part of Dublin, day or night. Let's take him up on that offer. Let's get a campaign going. Okay, Jim, let's take you out at 2 a.m. and take you down O'Connell Street, take you down Talbot Street, take you down Moore Street. Let's take you for a midnight walk down by the canal. Do you think Jim O'Callaghan would be up for that? Dublin is getting safer. Try telling it to the tourist that's lying fighting for his life in the hospital while his wife and child have been flown over from the UK to see him. Dublin's getting safer. Drew Harris is blaming everyone for what's going on, except a large chunk of the people that are actually carrying out these attacks in the first place. It's unreal, folks. A horrendous situation. You're being told that it's not too bad, and a worsening situation, you're told, is getting better. Not by one of these jokers, but by two. So let's hear what Big Jim has to say. And of course, he manages to spin this around to address the Indian community. It's all about the Indian community at the minute. Everybody's bending over backwards. What about all the other communities? What about equality, Jim? What about equality, Drew? Does any one community deserve more attention than another? Surely not. Surely that's not the case, or is it? So let's hear what Big Jim has to say here today at the passing out parade of a whopping 154 new guards.
Concerned about the attack upon the tourist in Temple Bar recently, and obviously I met with the Indian community and I expressed...
What's that got to do with them? He's so concerned about the attack in Temple Bar on an English tourist that he's met with the Indian community. This is unreal.
To them, my concern about some recent attacks upon them. I think it's important to point out, however, that when you look at the latest crime statistics, that assaults on the person are down in terms of the first 6 months of this year from the first 6 months of last year. It's also the case that there are more Gardaí on the streets in Dublin.
So he's telling us that despite this tsunami of violence that's currently happening the length and breadth of Ireland, that assaults on the person are down for the first 6 months of this year versus the first 6 months of last year, and there's more guards on the streets than ever, despite the fact that anytime you do see them, they're running around huffing and puffing. It takes 10 of them to try and arrest one person. As we saw earlier on today, a man jogging along after a suspect, not running, jogging. He did well to jog. So he's telling us it's getting better, folks. It's not getting worse out there. It's getting better. Now listen to this.
Large capital city is always going to have incidents of criminal behaviour, but like my own view is Dublin's getting safer.
Did you hear that? Read that. Read it out loud to yourself. Pause for a second to reflect. In his view, in the view of the Justice Minister for Ireland, Dublin is getting safer. Which Dublin's he talking about? Is there a Dublin somewhere else in the world rather than the one in Ireland? Which Dublin does he mean? Surely it's not the one in Ireland, is it?
Like, I'm happy to walk around Dublin any time of the day or night, and I would like the message to go.
He's happy to walk around Dublin any time of the day or night, like Helen McEntee did when she said Dublin was safe and she was flanked by about 6,000 armed guards. Yeah, okay, Jim, let's take you up on that one. Let's take you out for a midnight walk.
Out to people that Dublin is a safe place to come into.
Going back to Temple Bar, there's huge activity, and
Guy's a waster.
so both of those divisions have very active crime teams, and in any year there are literally thousands of arrests. The courts are full and the prisons are full. We are doing all that we can in terms of deterring crime on the street.
They're doing all they can to deter crime, but the courts are full and the prisons are full. So despite their best efforts to deter crime, to prevent crime, rather than to catch people that have committed crimes and bring them to court and send them to prison, despite their best efforts, in Drew Harris' own words, there's more people in the courts now and there's more people in prisons than ever. Notice Drew's been very quiet over the last few months, but he's getting vocal all of a sudden as he's heading for the door with a huge pension and probably some tasty consultancy work to do to line his pockets even further. The misfortune and misery of others.
Perhaps there's a wider societal response because a lot of this crime is being driven by addiction, and some of that addiction is also leading to mental health.
So there you go. It's addiction and mental health. Addicts and people with mental health problems, those are the people that are committing these crimes. That's what's driving it, Drew. You might want to be any more specific.
Illness for individuals, and they are in dire straits. So there is a wider response just in the criminal justice response, and I think we've seen that in the overall action.
The overall action plan for Dublin. What action plan? Is this a joke? Is this a joke? So let's hear what else Drew has to say in the passing out of the new guards.
Our streets dominated this morning's press conference with the Commissioner, especially off the back of that assault on a tourist in Temple Bar on Wednesday night, early yesterday morning. That person remains in a critical condition this morning, but really attention turned to the spate of recent attacks on members of the Indian community living.
Okay, so someone's just been attacked, is critically injured after the Temple Bar, but attention quickly turned to a spate of attacks in the Indian community. Help me to understand this.
In Ireland, and it was put to the Commissioner that after the incidents of violence and racism in Ballymena earlier this year.
Ballymena? County Antrim? Stuff that went on back in June? What's that got to do with the attacks that are going on in Temple Bar? What's that got to do with the vicious assaults we saw in the streets in Cork over the last few days? Multiple assaults? Or Limerick City? Or Milltown Malby? Or any of the other dozens of stories that have been covered over the last couple of weeks alone? She's talking about Ballymena and County Antrim. Catch a grip.
The PSNI Chief Constable rolled out an anti-racism plan, and he was asked whether or not the Gardaí are doing enough to support minority groups in this country and why exactly these types of crimes are on the rise.
Well, in part, there is racism in this, and in part, it is an element of crime as well, and picking on the vulnerable too.
So the crime that's being committed at the minute, there's an element of crime to it, but it's racism. There's an element of crime to the crimes that are being committed. This guy's an absolute balloon. He's a balloon. Good riddance, Drew Harris.
There is a combination, I think, of racism and then seeing individuals who people regard as being vulnerable, and that is motivating. That's motivating these attacks. Well, that's what's particularly concerning in respect of this, and obviously we have spent a lot of resources in terms of juvenile liaison officers, and so through that network, then we're reaching out and applying influence and trying to bring behaviours, obviously back to a proper state, but also then trying to detect those who have been involved.
Now,
so he's reaching out and trying to control juveniles now, because of course it's all young juvenile gangs that are running around attacking certain communities at the minute, even though there's been zero arrests, zero footage of any of these attacks anywhere, nowhere, period. Is it any wonder the policing and crime is in the state that it's in, with Drew Harris and Big Jim O'Callaghan heading up each of their respective departments? God help Ireland. north, south, east, west, and the middle. God help.
Say this is Commissioner Drew Harris's last public appearance in this role. The last time he'll be speaking to media, unless I'm told something.
Good riddance.
In the next 7 days or so. He said that he has no regrets over his term in this job and that he leaves the force a united front.
He has no regrets and he leaves the force as a united front. Is this guy for real? Honestly, folks, come on. Give me your honest opinions here. Give me your honest opinions. If Drew Harris was holding up a big red apple, he would say it's a big yellow banana and expect people to believe it. If there's a heat wave, Drew Harris would tell you it's freezing outside and expect you to believe it. That's the level of the gaslighting that him and O'Callaghan are on. I've never seen the like this. Dublin is getting safer. I feel safe anywhere in Dublin day or night, according to Jim O'Callaghan. Absolute bunkum.
Now, as you can see behind me, a passing out ceremony is ongoing here in Templemore. 154 Gardaí were sworn in this morning. The largest cohort will be going to the south of the country, with 66 assigned to the southern region. And now the government has committed to recruiting 5,000 Gardaí within the next 5 years. Since the start of this new government, that may be.
They're going to recruit 5,000 in 5 years, and in the last 2 years they've recruited about 150. It's a bit like their house building target, the government's house building target. It's a fantasy. They're living in cloud cuckoo land.
A challenge, but the Justice Minister said today he is still hopeful they can meet that goal.
They haven't a hope in hell. They haven't got a hope in hell. Anyway, that's where we're at this Friday night. Drew Harris, Big Jim O'Callaghan, gaslighting frenzy on the Irish people, as the message is clear. Addiction, it's the youth. We need to do more for mental health. There's too many people in the prisons. There's too many people in the courts. Dublin's getting safer. I wouldn't have a problem walking around at any time of the day or night. I mean, like, I've heard it all. I've heard it all. Leave me your comments below. I'm exasperated. Can't even think clearly. Holy heavens. It's the effect these buffoons have on me. But anyway, leave me your thoughts, comments, and opinions below. As always, share the video out. Let them see what a sham this is. It's the Muppet Show on steroids. I'm Rick Munn. Subscribe to the channel if you want, or don't. It's up to you. And anyway, for now, that's me. Over and out. Back tomorrow. Rick Munn. No risk, no reward media, etc., etc.